What's going on, people, and welcome to Man Knows Football. You're here with Guni, and you're here with a special guest today, Monstarcfc. How you doing today, my bro?
Good, man. Good, man. Big up everyone. Big up everyone that tunes in and watch the video, obviously. First time being on this channel, and thank you for inviting me, man.
Yeah, no problems, man. Thank you for coming on. Obviously, not the biggest platform yet, but just let the people know who watch this where they can find you, because there is a United States following. We are based here in New York, so in case people from the US haven't been exposed to you, just let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, obviously on all platforms, well, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and obviously YouTube. I am Monstarcfc, a South London-based Chelsea YouTuber. Obviously, Chelsea's in South London as well. So yeah, obviously supporting what I consider the biggest team in England.
Well, past 10 years, you can't really argue it, man. The success speaks for
15
itself.
actually.
Yeah, well, 15,
17,
yeah, exactly.
17 years.
Yeah, no, exactly. I thought I'd just pick 10 as a ripe number. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
whatever one you want to pick, we've just been killing it with the success. Obviously, our most recent success being champions of Europe. Again, for the second time, we're the only team in London with a European Cup ×2.
Yeah.
So obviously that brings us on to why we're here, how we're going to progress from that Champions League win. So that's going to bring us into the transfer market now. So some interesting news today has developed from a certain Matt Law. Matt Law is talking about a certain Declan Rice, who was put Manchester United and Chelsea on alert by rejecting 2 West Ham contract offers. Now, I also heard the news that West Ham value Declan Rice at 100 M's. But Declan Rice expects West Ham to open talks at 60 M's because they got him for nothing. Now, what Declan Rice wants and what West Ham wants are two different things.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to happen. And as we know with West Ham, especially dealing with Chelsea, I don't really think they're going to budge too much. I don't think they'll go less than 80 M's anyway. That's my opinion. And my question to you is do you think Declan Rice is worth that money?
Listen, Declan Rice is a good player. Obviously, if people don't know, he actually came from Chelsea. He was a part of Chelsea's youth setup, so he came from Chelsea. Chelsea did release him and let him go, because at the time they didn't deem him good enough. He ended up joining West Ham, and West Ham gave him his first chance at senior football and offered him his first proper professional contract. Now, obviously, Chelsea have obviously liked his progress and liked how he has worked out at West Ham. And now, obviously, they want to buy him back. Now, obviously, with that being said, West Ham won £100 million. That's what they value him at. Do I think he's worth that? No. I mean, the defensive midfielder generally for £100 million is quite ludicrous.
Yeah.
If you ask me, if you're even going to consider buying a defensive midfielder out there, I consider about 2 players only. I'll consider a guy called Frankie de Jong at Barcelona, who's Dutch, and a guy called Joshua Kimmich at Bayern Munich, who's German. Those are the only guys who I would consider in that to buy for that price range. But obviously, as we all know as well, there's something we love to call over here called the English tax. If you buy an English player, it normally comes with a premium. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And listen, to me, he's not worth that money, but I see why West Ham value him at that, because he's very important to their team. He's been their best player for about 2-3 seasons now, and he's their captain. Do you get what I mean? It's not very often you buy captains from teams, and if you do, you know, you're going to pay a premium for that as well. Not just the English tax, it's also the captain's tax as well. So I don't necessarily blame them for valuing him at that price. If you're to ask me, will I buy him for that price? No way.
No, I have to agree with you on that one. And it's like you said, I do think Declan Rice is a very good player. And I can obviously, for the reason you stated, like he's come from the youth academy. He knows the environment well. He knows the personnel. He's got best friends in that team. So obviously that's very good for team cohesion purposes. See what I'm saying? But I would love to see him in our squad, certainly. But for 80, 100 million, I don't think so, because it's like you said, there's only certain talent that I can deem acceptable to be paying that kind of price. And I don't think Declan Rice cuts into that category just yet. But you see, with West Ham, it's a thing where the price tag, whether they need him or not, as important as he is or not, they're always going to get the best that they can get, regardless. That's just how business goes. If the reports were talking 50 M's, maybe 60, I would take that. I would accept that. But you see, what my extra concern is that I know that Chelsea are still heavy going in for Erling Haaland, so the reports say. Obviously, I'm not going to touch on that too much, but that's a deal that everybody wants to see happen, including myself. What's your opinion? Do you think there's enough in the budget to facilitate all these deals?
Yes.
Declan Rice, Haaland, and I believe it's a centre back, isn't it, or right back that we're looking for?
Okay. So let me lay out what the plans are for Chelsea and what they're trying to do. We all know the number one target is the striking position. Now, there's two players Chelsea are looking at: Erling Haaland, Romelu Lukaku. Those are the two guys on the table. Then comes in a defensive type of midfielder. Now, there's actually three names and not two. There's actually Declan Rice, a guy called Tchouameni from Monaco, and there's another guy called Boubacar Kamara. Now, with regards to the DM, that position, Tuchel prefers Declan Rice and Kamara because those two can not only, they are the DM defensive midfielder type profile that Tuchel wants, and it's what Frank Lampard wanted at the time as well, the sitters in front of the defense. And not only that, they're versatile enough to play as a centre-back as well. That's why he wants those two. And then the Chelsea board obviously wants Tchouameni. Czech obviously wants Tchouameni. Fabregas as well is also recommending him to Chelsea as well. And it's not, obviously he's helping train the guy and get better out of him. Fabregas has said he can play all three positions in midfield. He can play as a 6, as the 8, and also as a 10. His game's improving. Also, Fabregas is hoping to become a Chelsea coach next season as well. Not the head coach, but one of the coaching setup as well, which Chelsea, I believe, are willing to give him a contract for that as well. And then there's also the right wing back position. Obviously, there was Hakimi, who we missed out on. But also there's Adama Traore, who Tuchel likes very much. And then with the centre-back position, there's mainly two players. It's Raphael Varane and Jules Koundé. But with the centre-back position, it's all dependent on if Chelsea sell or lose one of their centre-backs. So and it looks like, the speculation a week ago or so was that Rudiger wasn't going to sign, but I think that he will. So I think that would it be dependent on him going, or do you see anybody else that's looking to leave from the centre-back position from Chelsea? Well, obviously, Rudiger hasn't signed his contract. I do think he's going to end up signing that contract, but for now, let's just say he hasn't signed his contract. Christensen also needs to sign a contract. He hasn't signed either, although I believe he will sign.
I think so.
Now, if we're looking to sell a centre-back, I think it's going to be Kurt Zouma. So if anyone's leaving, in my opinion, it would be Kurt Zouma. Now, if Kurt Zouma leaves, then I can see Chelsea going, really going in for a centre-back option. Otherwise, it seems like we're just going to stick with what we got. We got good enough centre-backs anyway. Yeah.
So the reports on the right wing back. So do you see us just sticking with the back five going into the next season?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it a back five. It's more of a back three because in game as well, it tends to shift. I'm just
old school like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it does shift in game as well to a back four, innit? Yes, I can. Right before, from what when I was listening to a lot of Tuchel's press conferences, I was listening to what he's saying and interpreting his words. It sounded like he was saying he's going to shift to a back four next season. But for us to be in for right wing back, if you read into that, then maybe it looks like we might be sticking into a back three, and that's why I can see we probably are going to stick to a back three for now. But where Adama Traore is good as well is because, most teams need 4 wingers. At the moment, Chelsea only have 3. You're bringing in Adama Traore, he's that 4th choice winger. Right. And also his price tag as well is so cheap. It's like 20 million. That's a bargain. You can't lose with that.
Because you see, the Chelsea fans, because I've seen it on social media, when the link with Adama Traore came up, everyone was like, why are we going to link with him? We just won the Champions League. But listen, you can see that obviously that's not a first choice option. It's good. For me, I'm happy to have him as a squad option because that gives us strength in depth, obviously. But then comes the situation with Livramento. Where will he come in the pecking order if Adama Traore is signed as a right wing back? Presuming that's
okay. So if you look at, all right, let's forget about the left back. So we know Alonso, Emerson, Chilwell are the left back stroke left wing backs. I believe Alonso and Emerson could be leaving in the summer. We'll see what happens there. Then you've got the right centre back option. That's more Zuma and Rudiger. Your centre back, the middle of the three, is what's it called? Is Thiago Silva, Christensen, and then your right centre back, to me, is Reece James and Azpilicueta. Also, both of them can also play right wing back. But so if you're looking at that, that's both positions. You've got your main guy and your backup in those positions. And when you look at the right wing back, it's completely empty. That's where Adama Traore comes into play. And listen, Tino, I know a lot of people have spoken about Livramento. There is no guaranteed route into first team football at Chelsea. You've got to work your way there. Everyone's screaming about Livramento. Livramento has not played 1 minute of first team football in his career just yet. So the fact that people just think he's going to automatically jump from academy football to being the first team starter at right wing back, to me, is a bit absurd.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Some people say, oh yeah, he plays for the greatest academy at Chelsea, so it should automatically translate to, doing well at Chelsea. That's not the case. The academy and Chelsea, if you're talking about levels to this game, the academy's down here. Chelsea's level.
Yeah, the level. I don't understand it. Yeah, the jump.
It's a massive jump.
Academy to the professional. It's a massive jump.
It's a massive jump. So when I've spoken to a lot of the big YouTubers on Chelsea, and I've spoken to them about it, and I've had my debates with them. I keep, a lot of them feel he's ready. I'm just saying, how sure are you? How do you know this? We don't have a sample space to make this,
of course,
this assumption, because to me it's an assumption. There is no guarantees he's ready. There's no guarantees he's not ready. So at the moment, we're all just making an assumption. Everyone is just jumping the gun. We don't know yet. To me, these young players, I don't like to put them under this unnecessary pressure. I'm saying give him 15 to 20 games in his first couple of seasons, see how he works out, and we move from there. This next season, we're going to be playing around 50 to 60 games because we're in so many competitions. If you're asking for this guy to play even 30, it's a bit much. Do you get what I mean? It's a lot.
You see what Wilfred Zaha said that was really interesting, bro. He said, listen, it don't matter if you've even started for the first team. Like, you're not really a professional until you've played 10,000 minutes. That's out of his own mouth. So I completely agree with that, and I'm against putting pressure on youth, touching even onto the Euros now. Like, people screaming for Phil Foden to start and be the man throughout the whole tournament. I was like, listen, the kid obviously he's talented, he's fantastic, but that's what he is. You've got to let him develop. You've got to give him his time to build. Because listen, how old is he? 18 years old, 19 years old?
I think he just turned 18.
See what I'm saying? That's the fireworks going off. The 4th of July is coming. Yeah, people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just New York. I know it's New York. You lot might be thinking that there was gunshots or something. It's not that.
Guns are banned in New York, innit?
Yeah, but it's
people still have them, but yeah, I do know they are banned over there.
It's a story for another day. So we can ignore the fireworks. Yeah, apologize about that. They'll be over in a minute. It's not even dark enough to be firing these things as well, It's still light outside.
Still early.
Light. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But so the situation with Livramento, I've got to agree with you on that one. It's still early to be expecting him to just jump in and to do miracles, or to at least show the form that he's been showing at youth football, because it's a myth. Because like we said, the jump is
like youth.
Huge.
Of course, you can show all the levels at youth level. You're playing against youth. He's 18-year-old. He's coming against real men.
Yeah, exactly.
Real footballers this time around. This jump up is not a joke.
Yeah,
like,
it's different kind of physicality as well. It's all kinds of stuff you got to take.
And if anyone knows, Tuchel knows, because he's been training with him week in, week out, so he knows what he's dealing with here. Like, trust me, like I keep telling people, like it's not a joke. Like, you're all just going on word of mouth and what you've seen him do at youth level. We haven't seen him go against the big boys yet.
Exactly. Now, obviously we're on the youth subject still, and one other target. It hasn't really been. There's not been too much reports on him recently, but we have been linked with him. Tchouameni, because most of the links that I saw was early into when the season was over. There was a lot of talks and it kind of quietened down, but I still do think, like we discussed off camera, like the club are genuinely interested in him. Now with Tchouameni, he comes at a much cheaper price than Declan Rice. Obviously they play in a similar sort of position. He did mention that the other two are more versatile in the sense that they can play in the centre-back position. But Tchouameni, we got to say, he was given French Young Player of the Year last season. So this is a kid that has played with the big boys, albeit Ligue 1. And I don't like to be that person to say, oh, the French league is a farmers league or red tete. What I will say is that the competition in that league is not as good as the Prem, because you can't be disrespecting the French league when they're producing all these talents, and France are consistently up there in terms of winning accolades for their country. See what I'm saying? These are things you've got to take into consideration. These kids are coming from this league to be developed into these top players that we see. So I don't like to disrespect it too much.
One thing I would say about the French league, if you look at a lot of the top midfielders to ever grace the league, a lot of them have come from the French league.
Yeah, like, of course.
Barring obviously Bakayoko, who didn't work out. When you look at a lot of Essien came from the French league. Yeah, Vieira, all these guys, like they all come from the French league, and the way they play football in the French league interprets well into the Premier League. So that's why you get a lot of successful players coming over from the French league, and then it works well into the Premier League. So in terms of him coming from the French league, it to me it doesn't make any difference. Like I don't think I've seen the way this kid plays, and I feel like he's brilliant. Yes. I don't feel like he's gonna have any issues. Everyone's just the reason why a lot of people are worried is they saw what happened with Bakayoko. Bakayoko wasn't the only player to come from Monaco. Fabinho came from Monaco. He's one of the best defensive. He's probably the best or one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League and in the world. Yeah. He came from Monaco too. Why don't nobody mention that? Do you get what I mean? So I just feel people. There's a risk in football. Not every signing, unfortunately, is going to work. That's just football for you, innit? So it's just part of life.
But in terms of Tchouameni, man, like from what I've seen of him, you see what I like about him so much. As good as he is defensively and shielding that back four, or wherever it may be we're going to be playing, he's so techie. His technique, his touch, his vision, his pass, even his long passing, bro. It's just very like good. He's got a full package. And like what I actually didn't know, because I admit I haven't seen enough of Tchouameni, I didn't know he was able to play the number 8 and the number 10 as well. Because most of what I've seen him is like mainly the defensive work. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think what him and, because he's been learning. So I've been watching a lot of Fabregas's interviews with regards to him. I remember what Fabregas said about him with Julien Laurent. I remember he did a column recently on the Athletic with obviously Matt Law, and I listened to what Matt Law said about Fabregas has said about him in it, and he was basically just saying, a lot of the reason Tchouameni's, Chelsea didn't even have to necessarily scout him. Is Fabregas had done a lot of the scouting for them, and obviously he's working right beside him. Fabregas has basically been training him up to become the midfielder that you're seeing him right now. So that's why I think he's going to interpret well in the Premier League. He's got the physical presence as well, because he's not a small guy. Yeah. He's a big guy as well. Also, the only thing is, yes, he can't play centre back like the others, but they're all versatile. Like obviously we said Declan Rice and Kamara can play centre back as well, whereas Tchouameni can play all across midfield. So he is versatile in his own right in midfield, isn't it? So that's why I feel like whichever one is, I'm not too fussed about. I think they're all great. I don't really see Declan Rice happening because I don't see West Ham dropping that price.
Facts.
So that's why, and Chelsea need one this season.
Facts.
That's why I kind of see Tchouameni or Kamara being the guys, and I think it'll probably be Tchouameni.
Because like you said, the links make sense. But Kamara is not a bad player either. He's at Marseille. No. He's another one, quite techie as well, very good with his feet. But I think that link is probably a backup. Would you say that's more of a backup in case anything happens with Tchouameni? Or
so from what Dan McCarthy said, he said the Kamara one is more of because he will cost a lot less money, let's say.
Right.
Tchouameni, the finances behind Tchouameni and Declan Rice will be a bit harder. Obviously, Declan Rice will be way harder. Tchouameni will just be a little harder. So if Chelsea can't necessarily strike a deal with those ones, then Kamara will be next. But also Tuchel actually prefers Kamara over Tchouameni.
Yeah, the versatility as well. And Kamara is not a bad player. He's
No,
not
none of them are. None of them are.
I wanted to throw a couple curveballs at you as well, because there are two midfielders, right, that are available this summer. One of them being Camavinga,
Yeah.
and the other one, right, bear with me on this one, being possibly Paul Pogba. Would you accept either of them at Chelsea Football Club?
I would accept Paul Pogba over anyone. Do you get what I mean? Like, bro, it's Paul Pogba. He's probably on his day. If you can get the right midfielder next to him, he's the best midfielder in the world. Like, it's not even a debate. He's that good. Like, this guy can do crazy things. That's how good he is. But I would still say look out for it, because at the end of the day, he's got 1 year left.
Yeah.
Maybe I think he'll probably go PSG or Real Madrid.
I think so. I don't think he'll go Real though. I think Real are trying to do something with Mbappe, because Mbappe's he's looking like he's not trying to sign another contract with PSG, from what I've been reading anyway. So I don't think Real Madrid will be in for him. I think it will mainly be a PSG thing. But outside of that, I mean, because look, our relationship before with Mino Raiola wasn't that great, but apparently they've been mentioned since Peter Cech has come in. So why wouldn't you could imagine Mino touting him out to the people that he likes to work with. So if he likes to work with Cech, of course the conversation is going to be had probably. But whether anything materializes from that, I'm not too sure. Personally, I'm on your side. I think Pogba, with the right personnel around him, will thrive. And obviously, we've seen him do it with N'Golo Kante. We can throw one more player in that mix, whether it be Tchouameni or Mason Mount, or whoever it may be. It's going to be good enough for him to be able to do what Paul Pogba is supposed to do. But coming on to the next player now, I like this guy. I do like Camavinga. He's got 1 year left on his contract, and apparently the magic number to get him out would be 50 million euros from what I'm reading.
I've heard more than that. I've heard around 80
million euros with 1 year left on his contract. Can they run that?
The reason I like Camavinga, I've been watching him for about a year. Chelsea have been scouting him for time. Like, I think since they've been scouting him since he's 16 years old, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I thought they might have gone and tried to buy him, innit? But because right now, I just don't think he's something they need right now. I don't see them splashing the money out for him. And the thing is as well, because his contract's running out, I know Real Madrid want him badly as well, and so do PSG. But the reports are saying that yes, he's going to be free next season, so Rennes might try to sell him now. So I'm guessing, with that being said, he's probably going to go Real Madrid or PSG this season. And otherwise, he is a free agent next season, but we'll see. He seems to want to stay in France as well. So
well, but regardless, listen, because I'm hearing talks of Manchester United signing Jadon Sancho, signing Varane, whoever. This is actually the first time for a very long time where I can deep down in my heart say I couldn't care less. I could not care less. You can sign Jadon Sancho, you can sign who you need to sign, because I have a confidence, although it's dangerous for me to go on record and say this, but I have a confidence that we will get good business done this summer.
Yeah,
I do think so. I do think we're going to build on the win. I think Roman is definitely going to back Tuchel, because what Tuchel did was nothing short of a miracle if you really think about it. At the beginning of the season, if somebody said to you and said, yo, Chelsea are going to win the Champions League with a manager that we've had for half a season, what would you have said to that person?
Wait, say that again, sorry?
So at the beginning of the season, right, let's say after 3 games into the season, 4 games into the season, someone had come to you and said, listen, with this squad, right, they're going to win the Champions League, but halfway into the season, you're going to change manager. What would you have said to them?
Okay, so I thought Chelsea were going to win the Premier League at the beginning of the season.
Okay.
That's what I thought we were going to do. I thought we were good enough to win the Premier League. So I wasn't surprised that we would win the Champions League, because, you know, during the situation with Frank Lampard, it was a thing where I just thought our squad is good enough to be doing way better than what we were doing, innit?
Yeah.
Did I see Frank Lampard necessarily getting sacked middle of the season? before the season started? No. I thought because of how well he did last season with better players, he would have done even better. Do you get what I mean? But so yeah, I would have said nah. I would have said no. But yeah, I mean, I was never a fan of us hiring him as a manager in the first place. I don't agree with legends returning back to the club. To me, it's like when you go, that's it. We move on to the next thing. When Drogba came back, I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy with it. Although it ended up being successful and he won the league and the League Cup, at first I wasn't happy with it because Drogba left winning the Champions League. Like his last kick, which in the Chelsea shirt was the winning penalty, winning us our first ever Champions League. So I wasn't happy. You know, with Lampard, I just felt like when it started to crumble, I felt he's you know, a lot of people didn't want to say it, but I was just saying it straight. Yeah, he's getting sacked. Do you get me?
So I knew it was necessary. There was a point where I couldn't avoid it, and obviously you're not being disrespectful with it, and some people do confuse it as disrespect. But he is a club legend, but some people are not able to separate the player from the manager. And at the end of the day, it's like you say, listen, your legacy was with you as a player. Cool. Nobody can ever say nothing about that. But when it comes to hiring a man to do the job, to lead Chelsea to glory, it's the right man for the job. That's it.
I mean, if we're being honest, we were all a bit naive because obviously he was a legend for the club. But if we're being honest, Lampard had no experience.
That's what I was saying. I didn't have expectations of this dude. I'm not gonna lie.
He had no reason to even have that job in the first place. I'm sorry, it sounds harsh, but it's so true. Yeah. Like there's a pecking order. There's a hierarchy in getting a job like Chelsea or whatever big club, the top four. Yeah. Like you've got to work your way up there. Lampard kind of skipped that. I'm not saying it's his fault. If you're given that opportunity, if me and you are given that opportunity today, we're gonna take it, aren't we? Yeah. So I don't blame it. I don't blame him for that. I blame more the board for doing that because the board used his signings to just shut up the Chelsea fan base because we were making a lot of noise during that time as well. So I think that's what it was. But I obviously it later on showed. It started to show over time. You started to see that he wasn't the guy. He's not that good of a manager. Some people say, oh yeah, maybe in 10 years. If I'm being honest with you, I don't really see Lampard as being that great of a manager. He showed characteristics early on in his career that just tells me that this guy might not end up being this great manager. A lot of Chelsea fans are waiting. They're waiting, thinking that he's going to be back in 10 years. I don't think Lampard is going to be back.
There's glaring mistakes in his tactics where you can see like it's just naivety. It's like how can you like when the fans start to see the problem, right, and they start to identify the problem, and the manager can't. It's curtains.
It is curtains.
Told that time and time again.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, it's whatever they feel or whatever. Lampard just. A lot of Chelsea fans weren't happy about it. You know, a lot of Chelsea fans were cursing out Tuchel. A lot of them are saying Tuchel's not the guy. He's not a good manager. Blah blah blah. This and that. They were waiting for Tuchel to fail. Unfortunately, Tuchel did not fail. He won us a second Champions League titles, and we only have one other manager that's done that. And Tuchel's coming, and he didn't just. The other one, people would say it's a fluke. I don't think it's a fluke. I just think styles make fights. That's what it was. We just had a style to beat all the other teams. But this time around, we absolutely dominated all the teams in Europe and showed them the levels. You know, we showed all of them levels. Like there's no game you can that we played this season in last season in Champions League and say, yeah, we won that luckily. No. We absolutely annihilated everyone on our way to that trophy. So, yeah, with that Tuchel, you have to congratulate him. He's been a great manager, and I'm happy with his hiring. Hopefully,
100%.
Hopefully, we can have many more years with him. I don't know if we will, because Chelsea being Chelsea.
It depends on him. It depends on the success or what he brings to the club. Because, you know, like you can't have too much barons with no success, bro. Not under Roman. Otherwise, that's it. You're gone. But,
so I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping, you know, if he does go for a little or go for a bad patch, that we do keep him on, because I think this guy can do a lot for Chelsea.
Well, if we're being honest, I imagine Tuchel winning the Champions League wasn't in the requirements in his first season.
No, it wasn't.
So so you know what I'm saying. So just to deliver that in itself, surely he would deserve some blind Roman and them.
Oh yeah, his role or not his requirements this season was to what's it called? Was all they expected from him was to just finish in top 4.
Yeah.
But he exceeded those expectations and those requirements and went to an FA Cup final. Oh yes, we didn't win it, but he still got us there.
Yeah.
To an FA Cup final, and also he got to the top 4, which was his only requirement. And not only that, he exceeded that and went and won the Champions League. Something that we weren't thinking about winning the Champions League. If we're being honest, we weren't thinking about that. And he went and won it.
Yeah, that's why I asked you that question at the beginning of the season. Would you have ever seen us win this competition? But there we go. It is what it is. But on that note, Monster, thank you so much for joining me on this, man. I really appreciate
I appreciate you. I appreciate you bringing me on, man.
Nah, definitely, and I appreciate your time for jumping on, bro. Hopefully, I can have you on here again. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah, man. So, listen, guys, before you go, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. We're still a young channel, so we're relying on you guys to help us grow. We'll be continuing with the good content. So, yeah, guys, be safe. Monster, again, thank you very much. And Monster's details will actually be down there in the description. So all of your social medias, Monster, just send me an email, DM in Twitter with all your social media details. I have that all up underneath the description for you, mate.
No worries, man. Big ups, man. Appreciate you for having me on.
Definitely.
Big up to everyone that watched the video as well, man.
100%. Nah, definitely. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.